For the methods of certainty, our relationship with Earth, our relationship with one another, being American and being engaged with our work, being excited about what we're doing. These are the stories of Hatch Panheliosphere running for president. You guys, I am so excited. I'm freaking on the edge of my life. This is the most uh, happy about where I am and what I'm doing in my life that I've ever been. The amount of contentment and fulfillment that you guys bring by showing up here and meditating with me has brought me through the roof. I never knew that I could feel this good. I'm on a whole new level of my life, and I am sure I have so much I want to talk about today. I just sort of, uh, I have this sort of thing with energy, and then there's a couple different configurations. I think it's great because what I've learned about being a wizard and being, the energy, because there's these layers of energy. And I want to talk with Trey Parker. The where map led me to you. That's what's different about our relationship. But what's the same thing for all of us is that America needs our help. America is in a dire situation. America needs heroes now. America needs to be overhauled to become mature and have eye contact with the year 2020. The bar is set so low, people are being spoken to as consumers. That has to be changed. And the way the political system is working, it's like, I try to like, you can't abandon who you are when you're listening to some political thing, right? So you go to a place where you're listening, you're like, okay, I'm listening to what you're saying. And literally I walk away, I'm like, wow, what a pile of, you know, like you listen to the political yammering and the way that the reporters are sort of digging and they want to see a certain outcome. And so they sort of already have this, and it's only feeding into Trump's expression about, oh, fake news, and I'm gonna, you know, but it's just like the amount, like what is being said there. It's not okay. It's not okay for our kids. It's not okay for the adults. It's not okay for America. It's not okay for the world. We need to be doing better. And that's why we're here to meditate. So let's put on our thinking caps. And I think it's wonderful that I'm this intense wizard that has these different styles and different uh, understandings. And then I encounter Trey Parker. And with his level of professional immersion, I know that my friendship is lifting him up higher. And it's not a mere coincidence, it's destiny. It's what Earth wants. The Where map, it's magical. Because even like Earth respects me tremendously. And so even like the reveal of the Where map to me, like the whole sequence of what happened with the silver violin, and then Trey Parker responded by having this amazing episode where the South Park kids summon up the devil. It was unreal. And like that was such a good episode. Those feelings and those stories between us are real. And that's the evidence that we have to build up America. America needs a lot of work. Society is a lot of hard work. And we need to embrace that perfect design. Boom. And it goes up from there. We're standing on the perfect bedrock. And it's like my sort of turns and expressions about being a wizard is completely applicable to Trey Parker. And I think that he and I in like a have a whole new discovery process and an exciting uh, new opportunity to raise America. And it's a different format for Trey Parker, but it's not just about. It's not like I just want Trey to tell some jokes. It's really like I tell Trey like, you know, I want to challenge you to be like a little bit more like Marilyn Manson in the 90s when he would be like, he's like messing with everyone with his music, but then when he goes to interview, he's just like polished and like has this amazing sort of things to say, and he like he outspeaks and outperforms like the interviewer and everything, and he just shines. Like I see that in Trey Parker, that he is a tremendous intellectual, this is an opportunity for Trey to prove that South Park is intellectual, that there is compassion and parenting values and this want for. Please read between the lines, for yourself. Learn from South Park. We're obviously we don't. It's not about hate, but it's also not about appropriating naughty words or whatever. It's about a lot of stuff. And you need to be an American and shoot from your hip and be like, "Well, watch out, do." And there's a lot of common sense there. Don't overextend yourself. Take care of your own stuff first. And be careful. I find that there's a lot of this type of wisdom in South Park. It's completely vital, and I want to encourage Trey to fathom his next season of South Park, reaching new heights of intellectual importance and reaching the audience, raising it up like this. But I'm going to push Trey Parker with my career and what I'm going to be talking about today. Okay. So, one thing is that when we're talking about society, and Trey has mentioned, oh, like, with I do read between the lines, and he's got the horse blinders on in society, and he says, like, oh, yeah, there's like this South Park curse. Like, we don't know what it is, but it's like, oh, this thing. All right. So I'm like, oh, wow, you call the echo with nature a curse? Like, wow. Like, that's really revealing. Um, and what I feel is that there are these there are layers that are sort of like supposed to be there. There are virtues when someone has a breakaway and they're like, oh, and they sing this amazing song and everyone goes, oh, and that's this sort of living meditation. All right, so there's all these like good layers that are supposed to be there, but then there's these bad layers like the system of the down, or like things that don't really like no matter how you treat that, it's like the situation with the UFOs is FUBAR. Okay, they're not looking to us for solutions. We have to look to one another for solutions. And recently, it's telltale history itself. Hillary Clinton was saying, "I'm going to release the UFO information," and this year alone, our own government's releasing UFO stuff. Right? Okay, so look, I'm just saying, like, and my thing was like, wow, America had like no reaction to it. They were just like, oh, you know, it's just not what they're interested in, but that's the society. See, that's the identity that's larger than the simple family unit, even though the value of our government and our country breaks down to, that we have safe and happy homes in America. That's really why we're here fighting and working. Society's a lot of work. All right. Well, what kind of society do we have? What is it? What's our language? What are we talking about? Etc. Right, so when we have an electoral college, that causes the language to be on a certain level, and they begin to accept the behavior of Trump because of like and Joe Biden. Okay, they're accepting this level of behavior because of what the animal is in reflection of the electoral college. But this is supposed to be a democracy, and the sensation is supposed to be that, oh, our votes matter, so I'll go and vote. You know, and as if like, that's a representation of our freedom and all this, but the popular vote did not elect the president in the last election. That is a huge problem. The algorithm of the electoral college is a huge, huge problem. Right? And people have gone nose blind to it. They can't detect that's where there's a critical error about our democracy and the freedom of speech. And this sort of thing is like creeping in, like, oh, 2020, holy shit! Like, we have to like someone has to break these. It's like creeping in the sort of the familiarity of censorship, the familiarity of being stranded, not and that's why like Trey Parker to produce me is like magic. Is planting the seed of the hero, which suddenly opens up like it's like it's like the a miracle of multiplication. It's like the right application of a society in crisis. We need a hero right now. And this guy's talking about, well, I'm going to open up this thing. I'm going to be inviting people who want to volunteer to be political activists. And basically, to get in, you have to perform a speech and deliver what you feel about America and what needs to change, etc. I'm going to be looking for people who speak from their heart, not people who simply observe what I'm doing. And well, I don't need to get into that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I'm looking for heroes, right? I'm looking for them that they're hidden in the society weave. But then, with the building, so Collins Mill is essential to the theme and the emotion about the freedom of this is something we're going to be doing. We're going to build and change our government and our country, right? But one of the most wonderful things about the the app and the voting is that we're literally introducing people to the sensation of having your vote actually matter and how easy it is and how convenient it is. All right, it just needs to be. It's not, you guys. This is not simple. What Hatch is doing is like a miracle. He's like flying around, and you guys are like, "Oh yeah, it just needs to be assembled." But whoa, this is a big deal. Like, Trey needs to be encouraged and supported all the way through to actually developing an app with Hatch. And that's what's not happened. I've been campaigning for over a year. And look, and it's like, why is it on Trey? Why does he have to be? Well, it's because Earth talked to me and said it was in the Where map. It's unavoidable with the images in the map. And I'm this sort of Earth scientist where I understand the methods of certainty. Oh, that's what I was saying. Like, there's these layers of the self, right? There are good layers that are okay. It's like, oh, it's a lot of things are going on in life, right? But there's some really bad layers, right? And that's what I'm seeing is like this sort of rise of evil in the world, and there'll be some excuses, like people would say, oh well, they're like Asia, China's own is confused by communism, so they don't have as much freedom, so they kind of move like this. But this app literally changes the entire expression of America when we have a candidate who's already, with his campaign, is already reprising the modern day established system just by providing the absolute needed ingredient. It is the inoculation, it is the cure. It is and that's what's so advanced about Hatch as a candidate, but as a politician. He's someone who's saying, hey, I can immediately give people exactly what's needed here to solve this solution because we had the popular vote, we have the intelligence. We're getting our ass kicked by something. It's like, I think it's a global thing because, these things started creeping in around America. America is like a light to the world where our freedom of speech um, and our, you can literally, it's so important, you guys, that we have freedom of speech, right? but it's so important also that we have religious freedom. Like it's okay to worship how you like. And that also I really want to talk about that stuff in my campaign and maybe have images on it because there have been instances in America where like a mosque or something is like, oh well, that's the it's like, whoa, hey, our country's like made for that, and if to be American or just like talk, I don't want to like be like disciplining people, but maybe just lead by example and talk about it like, oh, that's so wonderful that we have that freedom, and because it's really the newness is happening, and so it really does have to it relates to a freedom of like you can be who you want to be, and it's about this identity encouragement that America does, and of course the free election. And so I'm concerned because I think that we've been experiencing for the past couple of years, and that's like a warning light on the dashboard of life. Okay, where do we hear from God? Where do the warning signs in life arrive? Well, here's one of them is Trump. And we need to not just uh it's almost like people have this weird instinct and they know that Trump can ricochet their hatred and they're just like flagrantly hateful towards Trump, and that's not constructive to get him out of that. It's almost like they're padding their bets like, well, if things are really bad, then we're actually, reinforcing something about Trump as a resilient character or something. Um, but I mean, it's hard to explain, but even people that I really respect, like Sarah Silverman, have been quoted as, chanting and yelling at Trump, going, "Show us your taxes, show us your taxes, because that's gonna make a change." And I'm like, you guys, this is the guy from. He's got these hotels and he has bookkeepers. He knows how to keep his taxes. You're paying into something where he can wag the dog, be like, "Oh no, don't show my taxes." And then if that does or doesn't ever get released, it's just going to be to his favor anyway. So it's like I feel like Trey Parker is an intellectual who understands what I'm saying. He's like, "Wow, yeah, how did someone we all know to respect like Sarah Silverman, why is she getting swept away with that?" Um, I don't know. That to me, this is sort of that the thing about I don't know. It's sort of hard to explain. Like, yeah. Anyway, the point is, Hatch right out of the gate is already providing an experience which is an epiphany for Americans. And exactly what is it we'll be voting on? I think I'll have like I mean I have a couple ideas, but we'll run it by like a panel of people and each week, but similar to South Park being on the button, right? And being, on point like, okay, it takes 1 week to make an episode of South Park, okay, what's on the news? How are you guys feeling? It's kind of like that. So I don't have like a registry. That is the way to do it because that's being alive and that's a real societal light, and I understand that as a communication wizard or what, I'm an entity, and I do see I have a great vision for America going into super cities, having a different economic engine that supports the sort of dummy things like a universal health care, get these damn homeless people off the street. And it's almost like when you're boom, you like shoot a zombie. That's kind of I think it's like I mean to say this as humorous because like who's really representing that homeless should be there? Who's going around with a picket sign going like the homeless should be there. They should be. Even the homeless are saying, well, why isn't someone helping me out here? It's hilarious, right? So like here's like a target where you could go after that and say like we're going to eradicate homelessness, we're going to get these people off the street, god damn it. Like it's freaking perfect because that's also what the homeless want. They're like, yeah, I'd rather have like an apartment that you know but when the thought of the cities needs to be respected, right? It's a advanced organism, and it's like a mini cosmos, and they're working hard on it. And gosh, we're burning oil here, people. This is like, that's an intense animal. All right, I'm not saying burning oil is evil. I'm saying it's the wrong fuel type, because it has oil has a Y chromosome in it, and when you burn it, you're removing the Y chromosome, or the Y shape, from it and turning it into an empty triangle CO2 grid luciferic, and it's causing this, you know, it's a tremendous angel of the intensity of this generation in these times. And I'm seeing it and we're living it. And so it's like, I'm not saying that burning oil is, oh, it's unnatural, it's evil. It's you have to understand that it's like a terrifying Balrog, like an ancient uh creature of pure fire, and he's just like, you know, and then Gandalf is there, like, you shall not pass. Boom. Right? It's like, and there's this ancient thing where, like, the wizard has to sacrifice himself to exterminate, to get the party away from the Balrog, because the Balrog is just like, no, there's a toll here to be paid because you've encountered the Balrog, the wrath of this. All right, so there's a toll to be paid, that we've been burning oil. Okay, because oil doesn't only say, oh, hey guys, just burn me, haha, yeah, it'll be fine. Oil can also be turned into plastic. Right? So there's the words of the oil creature does not only have a little tag that says "burn me" on it. It also says, "Wow, look at the plastic that you can make from it." And it's like, because it's from organics, it happens to be part of our living signature on Earth. Okay, so there's living. Uh, it's like the oil is like a graveyard from an ancient form of Earth. And so it has like a soul. I think really the best thing to do is to turn it into like action figures and toys and stuff. And it's amazing substance for that. But again, it's perhaps not best used for like milk cartons and these sorts of, trash items, you see? So it's actually very specific application, not to be misused or confused. And so we need to change the laws around how we behave with oil. And we need to, it's like an emergency where we need to figure out how to convert away from oil and to make it affordable to get new engines into our cars. It needs to be actually like an exciting thing, because like um, all the mechanics in America suddenly are going to have like a lot, they'll be able to like retire off of the work of changing engines. Look, I know that this is not popular right now, but I represent transformation for the future. I represent a generation of heroes that are being censored. You're not allowed to speak. The best that they can do is, uh, you know, well, we're seeing it. We can see what, all right. And so I do represent all this change, but it's actually very practical. But society is just like, okay, this is a big deal. Trey Parker producing Hatch. Well, here's the evidence that this is correct. The first step that Hatch does is he provides that every person's vote counts. A voting app is literally the platform, and then as this other thing, you can watch, that the behind the scenes things. I still need to think a lot about it, but similar to myself, where I feel that the reality of me being in Collins Mill causes my lotus to open up, and I'd be transformed. I would be so excited that I wouldn't be able to hide it. All right, and the same thing happens for America when they have an app that allows them to have their vote counted. They're just going to become absolutely elated with it. Like there's going to be couple things, and everyone kind of likes to be question, have some benign, question and answer sort of thing. But it's really going to, it's a spirit, all right, but it's a new spirit of democracy. It's a spirit where literally all of our votes literally count. And that's a new feeling. And when that new feeling happens, it's like the correct energy type of democracy, whereas we have like the wrong type of democracy now, and that's why we have these weird political characters that operate in a way that sort of it just seems unfair and it's depressing, etc. And they're telling us you have to put up with it because you got nothing better. Well, I'd say let's show them something better. And that's what Hatch is going to do. So I want to talk about the artwork. I'm going to say that my artwork is actually going to um, the artwork I'm going to be presenting is going to be extremely professional. In a way, my art is going to become more um, of gentler. Um, like I'm not going out there going like, "Hey guys, look at me," and like I've got like some like challenging things, and I'm like all flamboyant and stuff. Like my artwork, it's important that people are like, "Oh, I don't mind spending time with Hatch, and his campaign is cool because you see all these like radical people, and they're like." Either they're wearing makeup or they're wearing like you know, a mask or they're working with CGI. It's like always cool to hang out with these guys. It's like a party, we like to spend time with those guys, and it's just like it's okay. And I like this voting app. I just get like this excitement when you vote, and then immediately you can see how your vote reflected with the rest of America. And I was surprised, like when my like what I was saying, like, whoa, you guys all think that too? Oh, gee Louise. All right. And or contrarily, people they're like, oh, I'm for sure about this, and they vote on that, and their America's not in agreement with them, and there's only 30% of people are saying what this fellow's saying, and he's like, oh, maybe I should. I didn't know that people really wanted to have that all our votes counted. I didn't know that was so important. Well, it's a new spirit of democracy. It's like the right fuel type. Right? And we're going to get to a place where people really want electric cars, or people genuinely, they're like, no, we really want clean energy transportation. It's essential. It's like the civility akin to wearing a mask during a pandemic. You know, and it's boy, it's been a difficult pandemic for us. Massachusetts, I go out and everyone's wearing a mask. Massachusetts is a different climate of people. Um, and like but I understand about California, Florida, Texas, Arizona, and they're like having trouble getting people to wear the mask. Well, no kidding. It's because, you know, you should probably tell them to wear the mask when their state is spiking in numbers. Like I feel bad about it because New York and Boston were hit like this, and it was like throbbing like you hit your thumb with a hammer. It was like oh, and just like boom, 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 and it was embarrassing. And but like, and then we're all like, oh, it's a pandemic. Everyone wear your mask, and everything's freaking shut down for like months, and then it's like this trap and where California and now you guys are spiking and inflamed with this, and everyone's expected to continue after months of this sort of stay at home and wear a mask thing, and people are just like, oh shit, I can't take it anymore. So I get it, but I want to tell you guys, like, I'm also seeing how you guys are a different animal. California is a different creature. Massachusetts we're all still wearing our masks, you guys. and it's totally important. Like it's not like I've had interactions out in the public, like people who aren't wearing a mask. It's not viewed as cool. They get shunned. They're like, oh, that's not, like it's not what we're doing. Even though Massachusetts isn't spiking anymore, right? It's like there's this uh, communal American understanding in Massachusetts, and so I do represent uh, a different potion, something like that. I mean, certainly, yeah, the issues are different in California. And I think it's wonderful and amazing. But certainly, South Park really is on to the point about, well, we need to be, on the point and like what's happening then. So that's why I've never really had like huge script ideas or whatever because it's always on the moment. That's the thing about like getting into the click of South Park for me is like near impossible because, well, I have to be there. I'd have to freaking be there hanging out with you guys to be relevant to the writing process of South Park. Oh, but you guys are right. Like that's the way also I'm going to be performing my campaign. And it's this reality thing. It's this authenticity thing that like I'll know well, I won't be able to hide my excitement when I'm in Collins Mill. And that's why that part is important. I know there's in the mind there's a temptation to say, hey, Trey, why don't we just help him open up his app and he can make some funny cartoons there? It's like, well, you're missing out on the entire social uh, existence reality feeling and the invitation to volunteers, the invitation to something new, right? There has to be something that's like powerfully different to substantiate that the like Hatch looks different. He has this different everything's different with Hatch. A whole new campaign party. I haven't even come up with the name, uh, which is that's so exciting. I'm like, oh yeah. Oh gosh, what could it be? So perfect design. This is going to be excellent. But I'll know, like I believe in true love. It's going to line up like this, and I'm going to be like, oh, that's it, right? Another thing, like me and Trey, I think are both also this type of intense, real person. And I think that Trey Parker is starting to line up with, oh, I understand your plan with that makes sense because with the streaming adjunct, oh, absolutely, you can chip away at the expenses at your building, but Hatch needs that production, that big push to get the app and a camera crew to document the entire process because uh, every level of moving around of working in with Collins Mill is a delicious feast. You guys, the whole part where Hatch is talking online with a screen share and talking to app development people and building the voting app, that is delicious. That is perfect for a mini documentary, and that alone would probably pay for like a bunch of $2 to watch this minisode, but it's like it's perfect for me. I'm like, oh, I see how it just like goes like this, opens up. We're a capitalist country. People know how to support things with their money and they're comfortable to do it, right? But I'm even talking about eventually I'm going to talk to people about a whole new economic system, but that has to be built with a community who are excited about. Oh, I see how that would work because it's like it's like when we're in the act of, it's like fusion. You have to, when in the act of returning the dollar to the golden standard, you also have to turn them into these golden statues that represents the change in the dollar. But that opens up this new dimension. What is the change? What are these golden statues representing? And this is this whole new epiphany where we can talk about how are we going to build America. And I have a few solid things that I'm demanding, but otherwise it's the freedom of the people and an expression of our society about what do we want to be funding as a like universal healthcare, as it's that's just like who we are. This is something we're doing. But my thing, super cities, okay, that needs to be afforded because even if you say like, oh, we no, it does see, we build super cities and then the generations supply children and we live there and there's a new expression. I want it to be like, oh, this city like needs more people. Like right now we're like, oh, we can't handle all this immigration. No, do. It's just like it's un-American. I think that America needs to be a place of wealth and invitation. That was really a big part of the development of Earth, where England is just this throbbing epicenter, and Rome, France, Italy, and there's just a aching with culture and society and religion and the church. Oh, they've got this is really very advanced, right? And America, in contrast, is like this inspirational child, an explosion, laughing and sharing with everyone and that freedom of speech and singing songs. And we need to emphasize that and bring it back and make it happen. Right, because 2020, we're meeting with depression on lots of different levels. One of the first things we need to do is rebuild the vote and give people the experience that their votes actually matter. Oh, good. Finally, we're working on that as a people. That's been so important. We lost Hillary Clinton, and we're getting, we're worried about it for the next election. Okay, you guys, society is a lot of work. All right, this is worth doing. Let's produce Hatch and with gusto. And it's like to respect the heart of America is to begin with Collins Mill, and so that we have this footage of Hatch being like, "Oh, oh my God, this is the best thing in my life," and he's just really can't hide his excitement, and we edit it down. It's all real nice. Add some music to it. It's gonna be intense, and that's a good energy for who is this politician as compared to the zombies of politics who are they like have a pre-written script or whatever. It's just like I it, I it's not okay. And it's just you're not really getting to know a person. You're just believing that there's a policy behind that person and that the person represents a policy. It's like I really want to emphasize identity. And part of my campaign is that all we're a big family in America. And the policy here is that each of us, all of us who show up with eyes, and we're like, "Oh, here I am," it's a new thing to me, right? That we're unified by mutual expression to have the greatest possible lifetime that we can possibly have. And that means making sure that we have healthcare, housing, and food, right? But it also means a security for the middle class, that the enterprise of the music industry is working and creative things like painters and poets, that needs to be supported. But it also means embracing the wealthy. Because like it or not, you guys, we've dedicated to a type of capitalism that generated a a cap of wealthy people, and we need to optimize that and perfect it. And I have a method to do that through the golden statues. But it's a sort of an epiphany of perfect design. I've planted the seed, and we're going to figure it out when we get to that level, because it's literally going to be a think tank operation where we're building and talking about how to mobilize the wealthy. And it's personal to them because they're like, how is the dollar going to change? Do I want to do this? But it's like we have to figure out how to build something that is exciting and explicit for them, that encourages them and excites them, because my campaign does not point the finger unless it's at homeless people, right? This is my joke, is that give these people a house, but anyway, I'm not pointing at immigration and going, oh, this is uh terrible. Immigration is what America has long been like renowned for. um But I don't think that we're all immigrants. I live here and I'm an American. Right? I have an incredible sense of home and well-being, that I belong in America. and Trey Parker does too. In the Great Basin, tucked away in the mountains, Colorado, attracted to it the tremendous intellectual Tesla. Tesla was a Colorado celebrity, and he knew that that area was charged for genius. Well, it's no mistake that Trey Parker would come from a place that Tesla knew was magical and would reveal new types of energy. Way back in the day when Tesla was talking about how do we give free energy to everyone? How do we get them into a place there, you know, where it makes sense? It's no mistake that those rhythms would indicate in our time, 2020, Trey Parker is this type of genius person. And I want to facilitate that. I see a relationship between me and him where he and I are in like a heated meditation, which is what's happening right now. The Wear map led me to Trey Parker. I think that he is a genius, but he has like it hasn't really been facilitated, and it's a new level for Trey in his 50s to discover his thing. Like, so Hatch is talking about mobilizing the wealthy and like making this different kind of thing. Like if you're this type of upper class, like this golden statue relates to you and allows you to do this thing, but it has to be something like that is beyond the mind right now. Okay, because it can't be like, oh, it's a secret club, or it's just like gives you the ability to manhandle some real estate inside of a super city. Gosh, it has to be a whole different echelon. And then it's just like we have to like profound it, discover it, invent it. Oh, and then witness it. And as it's happening, it's being filmed, and then it's an experience. It's a journey to understand how to embrace the wealthy. But that's going to be, like I'm dealing with a capitalism type that we dedicated to that has generated this type of wealthy, uh, you know, grouping. And so it's about conversion of energies and saying that, okay, well, America's got the right ideas here, free speech, freedom of, and then my campaign is this thing where it's all encompassing, where I'm not really saying that anyone is to blame here, but that we need to work together. And there are those solutions in green energy. If you use your mind, you can find the right thing. It's a journey. It takes a lot of work to get there. But that's what makes me the right commander in chief, is because I know how to facilitate that. I know how to facilitate the journey to discover the heroes that are going to transform America and bring us into a greater future. So, we're dealing with a lot of, uh, for example, I mean, with this pandemic, it's like Trey is like, oh, well, I don't really want to fly anywhere until this pandemic is done or whatever. So, I mean, there's like some different things that we could do. And then but I see it as like these threefold things. There is something important between Trey and I. There's something magical about our friendship. And I want to perfect that and have it be a celebration and a surprise party for all of America, because they're going to be like, oh, it's so cool to hear Trey talking empathetically about and passionately about America and our society, because he really is a pillar of our society. And it's like a child of a government that was conservative and kept things cool. Oh, that's not safe for the women and children. Keep it top secret. And then and so as this guy's like holding down like this a terrifying situation of intentionally crash landing UFOs, they had the right instinct because that was a plot, right? And so they knew, oh, this is not like something to be talking about, right? And so in the heat of that father arose Trey Parker, Batman, The Simpsons, a lot of other great things, right? And then but there's this sort of this skythy industry which uses it as a product, and it's like, oh, we can make a lot of money just throwing things at families and stuff, right? So my equipment is on the blink. Okay, I can't see. Oh my gosh, was the arrow there the whole time? All right. Oh, All right, here it is. All right, sorry, I digress. I'm just saying, like, the communication industry, I think, is getting a little bit predictable and stupid with, you know, they'll have like these really like they'll have like dumb jokes they're like, oh, it's supposed to be dumb, like it's just like, oh, ho, ho, ho. Like, but I'm like, that's not a dad joke. It's demeaning and it hurts us because that's not what we all want to chuckle about. It's not good writing, you know. I mean, if the industry had, oh my God, like I think that the communication industry, uh, treated like a business. They're trying to make profit and all this stuff, but this they're not even doing. They don't do daring things. They do things that they think is a safe investment. But what it ends up doing is being like a total bombshell for the box office because it's just like, what you would want to do is seek like amazing new talents that just have this sort of sparky relevance. Like how you even do that? Like it's so funny, right? And then take that person and then put them in a wheelhouse where it's like an absorbent budget and it's just a huge thing. That's how to make a lot of money. You need to be intelligent about engineering and plug in the Christmas tree and let it fly. It's very similar to this. Like Trey needs to understand to produce Hatch, right? So, the physics of the communication industry is so different from the political engine and these engines and this turbine. Like these are all different creatures. And so there are like these dummy lights on the dashboard of life. And there's one in the communication industry. And I think Trey Parker knows exactly what I'm talking about, even better than I know what I'm talking about. Because he's the creature from there. But I'm the creature from over here. And I know about the map physics, and the where map is an indication from the waterborne spellcasting from the future. It's talking about the future. It's not a freaking Grammy. It's not an accolade about prior achievements. It's a prophecy about the future. And you guys are so illiterate to the understanding of Massachusetts and a wild nature scientist such as myself that you can't understand what the earth is saying or what God needs. And then the children are protesting for climate change and demanding that their world, their house, stop being destroyed. And the reaction is abysmal. And you don't know what are the children saying? I don't know. I've just about had it with this. I'm frustrated. I'm done with it. And I'm going to change it. That's why I'm running for president. Is because I have a vision for the future. I'm going to incorporate the I'm going to respond to these youth, but we're not. I'm not going to be having youth go like, my Collins Mill is not a place for kids. I mean, I am going to have like an area like a daycare center, but it's like fun. There'll be like something where when people come over and they have kids, it's like, oh, check out this, and we'll have like a some like a some sort of princess child daycare. What is she called? Like a teacher? I don't know, like some sort of daycare worker or something. Well, we'll just have some people over there, making it fun, and they'll be, like go through your schedule and stuff. Oh man, I'm trying to say like, you know, it's a place for people, um, like in their 30s. Okay, people, people who are like 38 and they're just pissed, and they're like, I can't, like the joblessness right now is not okay. The expense, I'm basically beneath the middle, like I've gone into the lower class income level with this thing, and everything's on like it's on the blink. I've got a lot to say, like it, you know, and because Trey, what you need to understand is like when people see Hatch performing from Collinsville, it's gonna be explosive for them. They're gonna be like, oh, and they're gonna be like, hey, I heard what Hatch was saying and I understood it. God damn it, this is, I can change it. I'm the American. I am. And this sort of thing where the electoral college is where we don't have democracy, we don't have the vote, we have the technology, but we're not doing it. And we need the intelligence of which is what Hatch is. He's the right level of generation to bring technology into to where it causes solutions. And even with this voting system we have now, a lot of the politicians complain about it. Oh, I'm really worried about the voter tampering and the voting system as it is doesn't work. And I'm going to be like, well, what if the popular vote actually worked? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, spaghetti-o. That's going to be a problem for these uh, obsolete relics of a bygone age. And we need to grow up, and Earth is commanding it with the Wear map. It's like I think that I'm a very challenging friend for Trey Parker. I don't think I'm an easy. It's not obvious that we're friends, and I'm also challenged by my friendship with Trey. But I love it, and I I'm really into it, and I'm into what Earth is talking to me about, and the confirmation of Collins Mill with the green wolf silhouette there is just like, oh my God, like I've heard from God. It's freaking amazing. All right, so I was trying to say, and what's interesting with Trey is like he's this tremendous wizard. I'm this other type of wizard, and so what I say to him really applies to his feeling about the South Park curse. But he's like, yeah, the my relationship with America is really important, and like we're a huge family. We need to make this happen. We need bigger ideas for an advanced world, 2020. We need to grow up quick before these like UFO believers go like, the night time is the right time, right off a cliff, because they're like they're getting in with the humbug and the dark energy. So here's the thing: is like when we're talking to the audience and when we're talking to when you're having a relationship, it's this romantic, it's the remote romanticism of talking to the actual correct individual that is from behind those eyes, and having this embrace with them where you understand that they have needs and that they're feeling and seeing things in America that is correct because that's their thing, right? But I'm here to advance America and transform it. And you can't get blood from a stone. So it's like there's this limitus inhibitor where like, there's these rules and stress and strains. Okay. The thing is that what I'm sensing is of the rise of humbug speakers. Okay. So people who are tapping into crowd control energy types. And also this likely that lots of governments are using crowd control methods to try to like glean. Well, they're all just learning, but the thing is, like a large group of the humanity will start to and start to hear that rhythm, bop beep bop beep, and start to like perform the evidence of what it feels like to have humans do like remote crowd control hacking. Like, oh yeah, I can hear what you're saying. You freaking bot call, freaking whatever it is. It's the internet, but it's not. We so what I'm saying is this passionate thing where you're embracing the America and who we are. You need to be talking to the person who is struggling and really the identity as reflected to their embodiment, and not speak to them demeaningly. Don't speak down to them. I think South Park always does that. It's like, I know I'm using curse words and stuff, but I believe you guys are gonna get it, and that like respect to the audience, be like, I believe you guys are gonna get what I'm saying, even though it's risque, but let's not make things taboo because then they could become a problem. If we have things out in the open as free speech, and then we're gonna figure it out because we're smart people. All right, so when you believe in your audience, all right, that's what raises them up. But when you have a consumer industry, like the communication industry is like talking down to people, the government's talking down to people, and a lot of like technology that's being developed by the government in secret is actually an epiphany that should be for the public about robots and AI. Oh, we're building it with our hands. It's our thing, you know. And so that's actually, I mean, that's like sort of something that I know about. I'm like, oh, the people feel cheated because, but it doesn't mean release UFO information. That's not it. We need to build our own robots and AI. Okay, so I'm on top of Batman, South Park, and The Simpsons, the communication age, and I'm like, hey guys, we need to get into the technology age, which means let's begin with every vote counts, right? And so this app is essential. Collins Mill is essential for the mood, the atmosphere of my performance, but also there really is an invitation here, and that would be different for a political person to be like, "Come on, you guys, we can do it. Come on!" And there's this real invitation feeling. And then what's going on right now is like mudslinging and like, well, it's just like it's. I don't think it's based on a personality or a relationship, or I don't feel like we're learning. Or it's just like hatred against Trump, and that's why we want a Democrat. But I just don't feel like that the it's like, we need to breathe some common sense to this situation and cure the year 2020. Parent. We need to parent the situation, raise up America. And so, yes, it is this investment. I'm asking Trey Parker to produce Hatch. But I think that unlike a lot of things that are like, oh, it'll pay off in, several years or something, this is something that we're going to, in a couple months' time, we're going to see like, oh, revenue, shoop, and I'm not going to be pushing for like, oh, we immediately have to overhaul get the windows in there and stuff. And it's like, we don't, that doesn't need to happen. The windows are all sealed up, even though they're crappy or plastic or something. Like it's a journey, it's a process of getting there. That's why Collins Mill is perfect, because each layer of it is a involvement story where we actually built this, and it's like a story metaphor for, but it's real and practical. It's about building America. It's about building a bright future. It's about being excited about super cities. And Hatch is this character who like really understands that, and Hatch is someone who wants to be a professional idol. All right, so what I'm seeing is like an incline where people in the public are tapping into speaking to people in the humbug level of energy, which isn't addressing the actual person who's existing in their body. Now, this is a sub dialogue that we're all dealing with because we're a full image of the universe. We're all dealing with like, oh, the weird static and chowder of what everything's going on. But it's not constructive to the identity resolve that we will maintain residency and continue on Earth as the established, kingdom of this garden. And that's also something that Hatch sort of secretly knows about. And in his private wizard research, he's figured that out. Oh my gosh, residency is really important, and that's how we be a good neighbor to the remote hacking UFO community. Is we need to tell them, no, you're fine where you are. You don't need to invade and give us an idea. We're developing our own identity. We have our own society. All right, you guys, our society is suffering right now. We're having this sort of apocalypse. We need to produce Hatch. It's a lifeline for our society. Society is a lot of work. Let's put in the work. Let's produce Hatch and get to work. Also, Hatch is going to be someone talking about jobs. Like, if we overhaul the economic system, that means that there's going to be a ton of work for the working class people. So I'm going to be a big, like, I'm putting America to work. But people are going to be like, yeah, let's do it. This sounds awesome. Let's get physical with and like build stuff with our hands, robots and AI. and super technology. What Tesla is talking about is like energy that is already around the world that's just sort of floating there. It needs to be attracted by the right way, and you need to build engines that operate on that energy type. And that's like a real green energy believer. And of course, he was assassinated before his time. But then, we're humanity is very karmic. And so karma supplies that, now we have these Tesla cars that are saying, oh, here's the electric car. You should have, you shouldn't have murdered that scientist. All right. So the Wear map to me is a cry from the future, being like, we need like a surprise party. We need someone who's going like, hey, fight, win. We can do this. Hatch is like this amazing character, right? I'm going to be tremendously popular, you guys. Even people who don't like my stuff, they've like seen all my stuff. They're like, I don't like Hatch, but I've watched all his cartoons. It's like, what? Like, well, it's okay. It's okay for them to not like me, but sure enough, it's easy enough to get through his programs, I think. All right. Thank you guys so much. Like, I know that I have the way to follow the journey and find the heroes. All ethnicities will be represented, right? It's going to be, for people in their 30s, right? So it is that kind of youthful thing where Trey Parker is like parenting his little brother, being like, "Oh, it's my little bro," and yeah, that's why I have like a really cool feeling about my friendship with Trey Parker. And Trey is an absolute legend. From a time when everyone was watching TV at the same time, this huge American meditation is stored up in Trey Parker, right? And in his identity image. And I am also talking about physics. Like, I'm like, Trey, you guys don't know why you glow blue when you make love. Well, there's a lot of things like that I understand as indications of that you have an identity image. And Trey would be like, "Oh, so the value of me like being a celebrity in the 90s is still with me." I didn't know that. That's like news to me. Okay? So like I'm a scientist that appeals to Trey because I'm saying like, see, it's really important that we're talking to the person who is the genuine and there's expressions, there's many different fingerprints, eye scan, DNA signature patterns that identify that we have unique uh, identity, energy, soul patterns. So we on all levels of the energy universal thing, we have identity, and that is really our wealth. That is the wealth of our country, is our identity. When you understand that and you pivot on that, then you have a real movement where you're raising the family. And the problem is that people are tapping into nega energy, and it's persuading things in such a way that people start compromising their own democracy. To be like, oh well, what here, and my campaign is all about I have to earn this. I have to build this thing with America. And it's a relationship. And so that's really what's different. I feel that it's really important the the task of leadership, being commander in chief of the free world, America, is so important. And so like basically my first step is to instate real democracy, and people are going to start feeling it, and their soul energy will be up here like people using an electric car. They're like, yeah, I don't even use that bad energy, all right, because they're up on the new democracy where literally because it's a different spirit, and just the practice of using and you performing it, and you begin to have this osmosis where you can hear better the chatter of America, and you get closer to your feeling of being an American. When we have every vote matters, okay, it's a civil service, it's important, it's vital, and we're being choked out by the electoral college. We need to grow up. And there's an emergency light in the Wear map that I understood, no one else understood. Sometimes it hurts to be the only person that gets something, and so I've been abiding with a great pain, but it's also my cherub, my expression, my something so important to me. It's similar with Trey being a romantic, something that's something different about him is like painful, but it's also sort of really important to who he is, right? So I feel like that this is congruent with the incline of who Trey Parker is. I don't think I'm asking you to compromise yourself. I think that this is very in line with what's called for 2020. I'm here to present, and this is my campaign because I'm asking for production. I'm saying we need to go immediate. We need to go. This needs to happen. And I've been campaigning for over a year. You need to have some introspection on yourself and be like, maybe I'm in an emotional rut, or I'm used to seeing amazing performances from Hatch and being like, well, that was fun, but that wasn't it. And it's like you hear like absolute filth from all these other places, and you guys put up with it, being like, oh, that was emotionally abusive. What a terrible line of thinking and news from this area. Like, we've had experiences. Trey Parker and I, in our meditation, have had moments where we had like a eye to eye soul contact, and we're like, oh, and we had this epiphany where it's like, oh, that was great. That seldom ever happens, really. And that's an indication of that you should produce, Hatch. And you need to be that genius type of producer who actually produces intelligence, even though you know, it's a new forum, a new platform of the American thing. But that's Trey Parker. He's a maverick, where he has lots of different hands in the art form. Trey is a uh, pioneer, right? And so I felt it was very natural uh, to understand why for me the wear map was like, oh, because like I'm an artist and I can see Trey Parker's career from the side, and I'm like, yeah, he's a total maverick. He's really a different thinker, and this makes sense. Earth wants me to work with this wizard, right? And that's really where I'm founding my that's the foundation of my friendship with Trey. But I also see that Trey hasn't been given like when Trey is interviewed on a sitcom, or what is it, the night show or something. It's so stupid, and the questions are so I'm like, I haven't really gotten to experience Trey Parker's secret personage. I want to learn who Trey Parker really is, because that's the meaty part. Like, it's a feast. Trey Parker is a delicious feast that I want to gobble it up and expose it, and put it on the stage and have everyone be able to laugh at him, right? So I mean, that's really something, a showpiece that I think is important for my campaign, but it's also important for America, that I'm using the right fuel types, that I'm working with a pillar of society. But this would happen like a little bit later. Like, I can get started, and then Trey can. I see like a couple different things, opportunities, like whether like as I'm getting going, then we have like a CGI. We'll do like a virtual reality encounter where Trey and I get together in VR and we're talking for a couple days, and then we have some editors bring it down to a concise film. Like an hour and a half of the best cuts. Yeah. Mhm. I don't know. It's all that's gonna be good. Maybe it'll be like a mini series or something. But anyway, but that's something that Trey could do from the safety of home. And so then I see this other layer of like a practical involvement where I arrange like a surprise party for Trey, where like we make Trey, like I sort of force Trey to put on costumes and be these other weird characters, and we have sort of these set pieces that I push him into it with like the characters, and he has to deal with my volunteers, and they're all like messing with him and playing around with him and stuff, and it's just a whole different thing. And then there's sort of the third echelon, I think, is like what I'm really interested in, is having this sort of conversation where we talk about the heart of America. Okay, we actually get to the meat of like what does it mean to be an American? And that's a subtext. Like I won't even you know that's not going to be displayed anywhere. But the thing is like let's have an intellectual conversation where we hear from people who actually built this country here and here. So there's a couple people that I would think would be part of that series, but that's when we're really having an opportunity. And Trey is like, that could be an opportunity for me, which is just like, and Trey Parker could say, hey, even if I don't do that, that's an acknowledgement where say, okay, this is worth producing, right? Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, the voting app is essential. It means bringing people to a place where they're being respected, they're being encouraged and excited. Like, yeah, this is what we've been talking about, and here it freaking is. And they're going to act. It's not just like a thing, an app that's like, what about uh, our votes counting? No, it's actually an app where immediately you're invited to practice vote on issues. And this guy is campaigning, and he has this different he's alternative, and so I think it would be very safe. People will feel like, oh, fun, it's on point, or but the app actually invites people to begin their voting, and so this means a lot of stuff. It means that I need like an independent server, and it's like this. It's a little bit more expensive, and we need. But I mean, I need the equipment. It's all consumer level technology, really. Honestly, what's really amazing about what I'm talking about is that this is within reach equipment. Even the motion capture technology is household um, consumer grade pricing and such. Yeah. All right, you guys. I really think it's on point. It's timely, and we need to go, go, go and produce Hatch. Trey, thank you so much. I just really value you as like as a dragon who lives in the universe, and you're this your own wild creature. I just appreciate you in my pursuit of magic, and my dialogue with Earth brought me to you. Like I found a magical map with your name on it, and like I knew what it was, and no one else understood. Um, and I just like you helped me to have a magical and engaging experience in America, and I hope that I can do the same for you. And I hope that our friendship can blossom in this way where you understand what I'm talking about. Like that what's exciting here between Hatch and Trey is all in the future, right? It's all this and like that's my feelings for Trey is all anchored in like what we could do together as men, because it's not this like it's not something I don't know. It's like it's substantial about men. Like we're building society. We're building, uh, we're pushing forward with technology. We're raising this family. Like really good, healthy things that is the clean energy dialogue between men is all here between Trey and Hatch, and that's so cool. And that's like the foundation of magic, and we build on that, and it causes a tremendous amount of encouragement and into the future. There's laughter, and there's pageantry, and there's people finding a new voice because of this wonderful father duo between Hatch and Trey. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate. Once again, the voting app is so important, but I also need a film equipment set up to begin that operation of documenting that process. So it's immediately kind of this quite an overhead. Getting into the building, we can negotiate with financing the way you guys know, and stretch out the cost of the actual building and sort of get into a place like that. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to switch over. We're going to look at the slides, and then I just ask you guys to understand that there is the right indications here for production. As a unique time and a unique creature, but it is right. and it was ordained by a language from the earth. And what I know is that when I listen to the earth language and I say, Earth, I'm listening to you, when that happens, I'm actually empowering Earth, and so Earth is is advancing with what Earth needs, because Earth has a big tummy and Earth has instincts. Is oh, I know what's best for me, and I need to go in this direction. I was like, okay, Earth, I trust my planet, and that's important because while I live in the garden and everything, I really want to have the best possible relationship with my planet and perform the majesty of the light of day. It's tremendous. And I'm this intense, real person, so I think it's just going to be really healthy for everyone involved. Thank you guys so much. All right. So important to understand we're developing the equipment so that when we're addressing the public, we're talking to the actual person who is experiencing the reality from behind their eyes. We don't want to start getting glumped in and talk to them about things that are not the society culture. Thematics about UFOs and dangerous technology that we haven't authored. It's not from our it's not from our hands, and so it doesn't exactly serve our karma. And that's the problem with it. And so Hatch is a tremendously mature individual because he understands that, right? So there'll be a certain time when I need the budgeting to build these living quarters, and it's a wonderful practice that I want to document the whole thing where we're talking about how to open up the business side of it, like how do we facilitate this thing because we need a kitchen and we need the people working there. There's also the people who are working on. I think they'll have actually. Instead of just writing down time codes, they'll probably have split screens where they have monitors and they're seeing the different angles. And so while it's being shot, we'll have a director in a secured room, and I want to treat them like special, like they have like a bigger apartment, they have like like the kitchen delivers to them, like all this stuff, like they're being treated real good, and they have a couple people and they rotate, but as things are happening, they're actually going between the different cameras and getting the right take. Okay, but it's possible, in a final edit, hopefully, but there's just so much there. So there's really like two different communities happening inside of Collins Mill. I love this building. It speaks to me. It's exactly the size that I need to grow into. Like I can see how like this building back here needs the most work. Surely that'll be the last thing we get to, but like the way that this is going to grow, it expands in layers, and it contains the relevancy of a dialogue where we're talking about the nature and the art of rebuilding and building up our country, etc. So here um, is the sort of indication written in the map where the green wolf, and it's very relevant that Hatch is talking about is different energy types because there's this huge like microchip looking thing right on the nose of uh of the wolf, but the wolf is still smiling. He's still with it. Um, there's a spot for his eye, and so he can see. It's just really intense for me. And there's also this opportunity where the water here is being piped out in two different places. The water does. There is a pipage here. I'm not sure. It might be closed off, but that's a whole journey where we can talk uh, with the region about activating that and even and generating some electricity from the hydroelectric, and we can build a sequence of damming here. So and like generate like energy and like wow, all of a sudden I've got my electric bill paid. I mean that's just an epiphany for everyone involved, and it's good for this community. I think that I'm going to become popular in this area pretty quick, where these people are going to say like, well, a lot of people would like to visit our area, and I'd be like, "Oh, can I purchase this like sand lot here?" And they're like, "Oh gosh, yeah, well, yeah." And then like I could build like an attraction center here, okay, where people, but that's getting ahead of ourselves. I mean, like I know I'm just saying there's just a lot of uh excellent space to grow. I love the location right along the river. It's really the dream uh, that I've had like my whole freaking life. I'm in love with this building, and I am positive about my dedication to Collins Mill. Thank you guys so much. I mean, it's just these are hardwood floors. This is like the ideal space to restore and bring back into operational offices and uh, artists, animators, and they're working on the app. Of course, they're real technicians and coordinating with Americans. There's a lot of online social stuff that needs to be updated and kept fresh. And so these walls, I mean, it's amazing. First of all, they need to be cleaned. So I think we probably power wash it and like treat it with an anti-mold, like get the mold and stuff out just to do one brush down, like even up here, get the dust out of that. But then it's almost like, do we want to maintain the patina of this and like put like a clear coat over the bricks, like that might be delicious. But uh, so we and I might do that as like a layer of the paint, and then we could what I would honestly what I was hoping is to do uh have like guardian angels painted here where sort of like with spray paint, but we do some sort of like artwork, like there's a protection angel here between each one, and like they have a little name. There's like the angel of the appropriate fuel type exists here, and it's just like an angel in the office. So I'd like to have some artwork, really. So that leans into like I probably like keep the patina and then like use that as a canvas, where then there's like a painting of like an angel there. Um, but yeah, I'm just really excited by these spaces. It's absolutely ideal. What we're talking about is producing hundreds to thousands of leaders for our future. Collins Mill is a social revolution for the mind in the communication. And when people are given the choice to voice who they are and their expression, that's when people are listening and hearing and having a relationship that matters. That's the way to raise this country. Collins Mill is going to produce thousands upon thousands of champions that will transform our future and build our country. We need to invest in our youth and build this up from the right foundation, from the right energy sources. And in this environment, each of my champions who rise up and they become popular online, they're going to get an entire following. And this, might have a Native American champion rising up. All of a sudden, the Native American people are just absolutely so excited and they're cheering and they never miss an episode when their hero, the volunteer of the Native American community, is there talking and expressing how he feels it is to be American and where we need to go. All right. And so each of those champions who are very good performers, they're very good at speaking, they know how to do that. Okay, that's who I'm looking for. It's not expressly, that's why I want it to be a volunteer army, is because they're attracted for the opportunity that is intellectual, not for some sort of guarantee for a paycheck. Okay, so it's a volunteer thing. It's so that I can find the champions of America, but it's also about operating on a budget. I'm saying Collins Mill is huge, and it needs to be. It's not about just throwing a lot of money at something. It's about building this up with heroes, etc. So you understand. but I'm saying that each one of my achieved heroes that do rise up and continue with my company, each of them is going to have their own following of fans in the community, and they will support uh, emotionally and also in other ways, but financially. Okay, so there'll be like a line of T-shirts and custom things for the Native American hero, for the African American hero. He'll have his own line of T-shirts and customized things that helps people to have the American identity, and that they're moving and shaking and bopping and they're saying we're the ones building this, and that's family, and that's society, and it takes a lot of work. And so that's what Hatch is signing up for. He's saying, please put me to work, Trey Parker. I'm so desperate to reach America. Produce me, Trey. All right, I've done the legwork for this. I wanted to talk about the artwork. While I realized that this is charming with a smile, you know I'm not going to be. The artwork is going to be like power idols, or it has to do with American uh, strength and the wild of America. It doesn't. It's not overly flamboyant. Okay, like I'm saying, like the I had intended to talk more about what is the look of Collins Mill, what is the artwork of Collins Mill. I'm telling you now that it's going to be extremely uh, detailed and beautiful, like a living clockwork man, where when this clockwork guy is talking to you, you can see the gears moving in his head. And you can see this like ornate, he has this profound armor and this regalia of, he's wearing this suit, and there's sort of these like clockwork wires floating around behind him, like these ghostly hair that is sort of suggested behind him. But he's a very profound character, the Clockwork Man. He's actually one of my favorite characters. I'm really looking forward to uh, voicing that character, discovering who the Clockwork Man is, working with the Clockwork Man. And of course, Master Source is the one who's brought us all along. Master Source has been working so hard, and he is, making me cry. I love Master Source so much. He's like really an important character, and he's helping to bring the friendship and all. But like, I'm really excited to voice these characters and bring America to a new level of technology and robots and AI. So, yes, in Collins Mill, we are going to have a department dedicated to robots and AI. I'm going to be building robots, but we will do that in the time when I can afford it, when there's budgeting. It's not going to be one of the first things that we're going to be doing. But it's an enchanting and powerful advanced engagement with the age, and I'm actually going to be doing it. I'm not just talking about robots. We're actually going to be getting our hands in there and building robots, and that's an exciting and important dialogue for the vitals of America to be encouraged and to be excited about the future. America, our home. Our country needs us in this year of 2020. Working together, we can survive and even become stronger than before. We can survive this pandemic. We can defeat this depression. But we need to allow the children the voice. And when I say children, I mean people in their 30s, right? A man who is 38. Okay, I mean like someone who's like in the passion of their professional life. They have a lot to say, and it really is. It's coming from a place where Americana, skateboarding, Halloween with the pumpkins, and the cool coffee cup from you know I mean that it's like really Like we've all transcended vaping. Recently, vaping isn't as popular as it used to be. Like we go through phases together. We grow, and it's important. It has to do with like Zen mastery and an important thing. A lot of I work to build this country so it's a safe place for Claire, right? I do these things because I love her. She's worth it. Do you understand me? She is worth it. That's why we have to work so hard. It's because of how beautiful our daughters are. That's why we build the future. That's why we fight for climate change. It's because she is so beautiful. It's because we love our wives. All right. And that's the right way of being a gentleman and understanding why we're doing this is we're providing a safe and constructive home for our women and children. Family values is tantamount to American identity. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been my honor and privilege to work with you. It's a stoic and powerful year, a 2020, when the very foundation of our society is being challenged. We need to rise to the occasion and give them a true hero and plant the seed of the hero and allow the voice of freedom of speech. And when we do this for Hatch, then Hatch opens up and returns and opens up an invitation to Collins Mill where the voice of Americans rings true and heroes in America rise up. Because Hatch is going to lead by example, he's going to show them how to be a real hero and that real heroes are needed now more than ever. Thank you, my friends. The Wizard's Circle is here, and we have completed the greatest task. We have communicated and we have transcended this day. It is time to produce Hatch passionately and with a great fight. I need your help, Trey Parker, to get into Collins Mill, to negotiate these things. It's a lot of business work and legwork that you guys know how to do. And so when we work together, we can transform our country and embrighten, embolden, and perfect the future of America. Thank you. It is perfect. It is complete. It is good.